Hello. So my name is Kazuyuki Motohashi. I'm a professor at the University of Tokyo. I'm doing innovation studies at the technology management for innovation. So this video is explaining about scientific research on innovation, the practical guide. Particularly those who started some dissertation work, of course in my lab, but also for others. And those who are interested in general about innovation studies too. So this presentation is based on my past experience about over 100 dissertation research under my supervision at the University of Tokyo. So I actually did the supervision for 13 PhD, 80 master students, and also bachelor, 32. 125 in total so far. There are, many international students, mainly from China, Korea, Thailand, France, Indonesia, Iran, and so on. So for those who get a PhD, typically get a job at the academic institutions like university. But many, students, majority are master and bachelor. So they join in business. Some of them are in a government administrative job. So the reason why I actually put up is, of course, for you to understand that what is a scientific research, but also I'd like you to understand that scientific research is not only for academic job, but also business job as well. So what is scientific research? There are two steps. So first step is identification of research question, and the next step is solving it by scientific approach. So for this identification of research question, you need to go through VID criteria, which is a variable, interesting, and doable. I will explain it in detail for the next slide, but for example, like if you come up with some research question, but this research question cannot be answered by ChatGPT. So this is one of the criteria. Of course, it can be answered to the ChatGPT. Maybe it simply asks ChatGPT, it's okay, right? So this is not a good research question. And number two, solving it by scientific research is the science is characterized as observable and replicable and objective. So again, so I will explain it more detail for the next slide, but for example, we use econometrics, machine learning with a data set. So those are basically the next step of scientific research. And so this video is actually created particularly for those for the social science research. So economics or management studies discipline, which I'm doing for my job. But of course, it can apply to all kinds of disciplines, including natural science, computer science, or life science, material science. But when though you are actually coming from the discipline, not in this social science, you better to understand that some particular characteristics of a field, so which is first of all difficult to do controlled experiment. For example, if your discipline is a chemistry, so you did a lot of experiment, right, at the laboratory. So those experiment is controlled by many atmosphere, like temperature, humidity, pressure, whatever, and do try to find out some let's say particular type of function of some chemical compound. But for the social science research, for example, like I'm doing university startup research. So what is the success factor? Why so many university startups failed? So here you cannot control for exactly same type of business. So one is this technology, the other one is that technology, or one is run by professor, and another one is run by business person appointed by professor, right? So all the events are actually different. So this is actually the one of the reality we have to face. And another one is issues are complex, or we call the systemic nature. So which means that, again, I come back to the question about university startup. So there are some factors. So who run this company, right? Who are the CEO? Technical person is good, or somebody in a good business is good, or, technology, is very important. Do you have your patent? Is it better for you to have a patent or not? So what is your, competitive environment? So is that there are strong competitor? So what is a market, opportunity for your business? So there are many factors which influence to the actually, success in a university startup. But those are the, interrelated to each other, right? So this is very different from, again, chemistry experiment. Is basically, you can control for other atmosphere to test some of, things that you want to look very carefully. Okay, so here is actually main content. Again, so I like to explain about two processes about scientific research. So first one is research proposal phase, so which is identification of research question and hypothesis, some hypothesis. So which is your temporal, potential answer to this question. Okay, and in order to come up to do this, you start with a simple question, maybe, why so many university startups are fail, right? This is, starting point. But this is not the end of the story. So you better to search, maybe, you can search past literature, like there are many papers which doing, those analysis and identify what are found already. So based on what is found already, so you come back to the question. So what is the new question I would ask? Okay. And then, so you actually try to, for example, like what kind of particular, skill for the actually CEO of this university startup are important. And so the hypothesis is, I think that business skill is more important to understand the technology. Or maybe you say that technology skill is more important than, or maybe, it's more social network skill is important. Like you have a lots of connections, you have a social network with the people who could help your business, right? So those are the hypotheses you would come up with. Okay. And so after you research proposal phase, the next step is test this hypothesis by using data and econometrics. So here is actually point for you to finish this process to check that those research questions or hypotheses are variable, are valid in order for you to go to the next step. So which is a VID criteria again. So variable. So it is worth to spend your time. I mean, you is a human being, right? So which means that AI cannot do it. Okay. So maybe for the search, now, ChatGPT is very helpful. So if you have, for example, like your first question could be, what is a success factor for university startup? Well, so many, failure you can see in the university startup. So you ask this question to the ChatGPT, so they can answer some questions. They can answer some some of the points, right? They made. And when you're reading this, and then together with, whatever, some of the study already conducted, and then you come back to the next question. Okay, so more detailed question or subsequent question together with the hypothesis. And number two is interesting. So it is interesting for you or not. So for example, like a dissertation, you have to do it, otherwise you cannot be graduate. There are no motivation. So, but this, task is quite hard for many of you. I have experience that many students get some hard time for this process. Okay. This is, I would say, harder as compared to this. Because once you have good this, then it's not so difficult, and I can help students. Or you could be helped by others, your senior, or some textbook, whatever. Okay, I come back to here. So that's why first I ask the student, what is an interesting topic? Okay. So what is the key difference between human being and computer or AI? Is a human being has curiosity. Okay. So curiosity is human being in nature wants to find out something new. So which is a motivation. So but there are many topics in the world. So what is an interesting topic? So this is very important and interesting for others. So even though your research question is interesting for you, but when you find out that actually this question are answered by past literature, something that the paper already published or whatever found it, then it might not be interesting for others, right? So you need to take it into account, this giant shoulder, okay? So there are many things already known. So you need to take into account these things and come up with a new research question. This is what iterations means, okay? And finally, which is a doable, okay? So this is more related to the implementation phase because sometimes the question is too complex, too broad. Okay. So what is the Japan strategy for carbon neutral commitment 2050? This is too broad. Of course, Japan has a green transformation, strategy, but this have a many components and too complicated, right? How to reach to the carbon neutrality 2050 is a too complex problem, too broad, or data availability. Okay, I like to see that some potential research question. I think interesting research question is how generative AI, like ChatGPT, change business. Okay, this is interesting. Maybe worthwhile for you to spend some time. AI cannot do it. Maybe of course you can ask ChatGPT first, but they give me ask not good answer because ChatGPT are based on past actually information, languages. So because ChatGPT generative AI is very new. So maybe businesses are now trying. So you don't get enough observation about success case and failure case, right? So in order for you to identify what is a good use of generative AI, is you need both good success case and failure case, right? And to identify what is differentiate these two groups, right? But you not come to this point at this time because at this moment, so many companies generative AI is great. So we try to experiment something like experimental stage still, right? So this is something like the things that you cannot do it for your research. Yeah. And once you do this, then I would say again that this implementation phase is not so difficult for you to do it. So here is a data source, data availability, and methodology. What kind of methodology you objectively test this hypothesis is maybe could be econometrics technique, machine learning technique. There are other type of data analytics technique. You can refer to many things, and also if you are my students, then I could help you. But here I cannot help you much. This is your own brain task. Okay. Finally, so I like to conclude my presentation about come back to the question like why scientific research is important, not only for academia but for business as well. Is because we are living in a world of transformation. Okay, so globalization, decoupling of US, China, which affected many countries, including Japan, business, government, many places, and technological innovation is going on, such as AI, life science, material science, many innovations coming out day by day. Carbon neutral commitments 2050, which change business, government, again, our life, many things, right? And those transformation, change, opens new business opportunities, of course, but also threats, give some threats to you too, okay? So you need to be competitive and you need to create your own way. So which means that actually, you cannot learn something out of others. Maybe you have to do it by yourself. And so your actions, so business actions, required intelligence, more and more intelligence, because your competitor have intelligence also. Or maybe your competitor can be AI. Your competitor can be, software engineer in India, all over the world. And of course, good intuition, of course, the whole world changing, uncertainty, great. So no, way to solve this by just scientific research. So you have a good sense, a good intuition, but together with the intelligence. So this is very important. And in order to create your intelligence, this scientific research is a good training for your muscle, your intellectual muscle, I would say, your brain. So you have to, again, so I tell you that at the end of a master thesis or bachelor thesis, our graduate student had time. But this, I hope that will make a good, exercise, your intellectual muscle exercise before you're getting into the real world. Okay, that's all for me, and thanks for your listening.